Welcome back to Arsenal Podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. This is your latest Arsenal news and transfer news. We're going to be diving into much of the stories around the club. Martin Ødegaard is very close to signing a new deal at Arsenal that will see him one of the most paid players at the club. He's going to be earning close to 300,000 a week. This is the same as Bukayo Saka. We're also going to be diving into the injury news around the club. Alexander Zinchenko, Gabriel and Reece Nelson. There are a couple of boosts in there and some real big story on Jalen Timber. According to CBS, he could be out for the season, but I've not confirmed that. But we're going to be talking about it as well. Some transfers, as Manchester City have decided against selling Aymeric Laporte to Arsenal. They will sell him to Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia. A deal has been accepted. That is also happening. And Michael Olise is going to go to Chelsea rather than Arsenal. I want your thoughts on Michael Olise there. Do you think Michael Olise would have been a better player to bring competition to Bukayo Saka than Kudus? Number one, especially that he's a much cheaper option. I think around £35 million is his release clause. You don't need to negotiate. You don't need to do the back and forth. You just need to trigger the release clause and you can have him as your player. How much do you rate Olise over Kudus and how much do you rate Kudus over Michael Olise? Let me know in the comment box below. Let's dive into these stories. Now, let's start off with the Martin Ødegaard one, which is actually very, very huge. After the likes of Gabriel signing Saka, Martinelli, and William Saliba recently, it was reported that Martin Ødegaard was going to be rewarded with a new contract. Now, this one is going to be a major contract. This one is going to be huge because Martin Ødegaard is not only going to be given a new deal, he's also going to be one of the most earners at Arsenal. He's going to be earning close to 300,000, the same numbers that Bukayo Saka is earning, and I really think he deserves it. You know, I have a problem with players that are overrated, but I also have a problem with people who underrate players. Martin Ødegaard is clearly underrated. He's not spoken about enough. He's not appreciated enough. Now, look, I think Arsenal have just done very, very well to secure the signature of Saka, Martinelli, Saliba. That just provides confidence, and that just gives confidence to the camp of Martin Ødegaard that this is the right place to be and this is the right project to be, around. Now, I've been reading around this deal, and it shows that the father has a real great influence. He did have a big influence in him signing for Real Madrid. He has a big influence on him coming to Arsenal, and he also has a big influence on him signing a new deal. So the father feels like Arsenal are the right project. They're going in the right direction. They've looked at the transfers and the decisions the club has made, kicking out Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang out of the club because of his mentality, signing Declan Rice because of his mentality and quality, of course signing the likes of Kai Havertz, Jalen Timber, David Raya. It shows that the club has gone from mediocre to absolute elite, and that is where the father wants Martin Ødegaard to be. Ødegaard, of course, doesn't have a problem with Arsenal. He's going to be, our captain. I think he will lead us to some major silverware. Apart from the Community Shield, he will lead us to some major silverware. If it is not the Premier League this season, it could be the Champions League, maybe this season or the coming campaign. So Ødegaard is going to sign a new deal. The player is keen to sign. There are no problems when it comes to the structure of the deal. Arsenal will work on a few final details, according to Charles Watts, and the deal will actually be done. Ødegaard, 300,000 a week. He's one of those players that I think deserve it. He's one of the players that I cannot even go, why are we giving him 300 a week? He's a totally irreplaceable player. Keeper says he will be among the top at Arsenal in that squad. Passes arriving in the penalty area of the opponent, he's going to be up there. Assists, he's going to be up there. And general controlling the rhythm of the game, I think Mikel Arteta has a gift in Martin Ødegaard, because Ødegaard is one of the few players in the Arsenal team right now that completely understand the system we are playing, the specific roles players have been given, and he can also go from one role to the other. That is how brilliant Ødegaard is. I don't think we can replace him. I don't think any other club, apart from Manchester City, I don't think any other club has a player like Ødegaard. I could think about Dominic Szoboszlai at Liverpool. I think I like him, the Hungarian, but Ødegaard is totally special. Well, let's dive into some of the talking points in terms of injury updates. Injuries have just, wrapped up themselves around us early in the campaign. I hope this doesn't become a trend. Now, Arsenal lost their head of medical to Manchester United. And ever since then, it just looks like injuries are becoming some kind of, narrative around this squad. I hope it doesn't become big, because this is going to be a huge season. And with Kevin De Bruyne out for a couple of months at Manchester City, Arsenal could capitalize. Arsenal might need to capitalize on that. So Alexander Zinchenko, number one, is back in full training, and he will be available for selection against Crystal Palace. Mikel Arteta said during his last press conference that Zinchenko is fine. He's alright. He did play in the game for Ukraine, so expect him to be doing some things alone and then coming back. But now he's back in full training with the whole squad. He will be available for selection in Crystal Palace. That is going to be a huge boost in that game. Palace away has never been an easy game, by the way. The Selhurst Park, of course, we've gone there and picked up results, especially last campaign, 2-0, a clean sheet as well. But it has never been a good ground for you to go in the two opening games of the campaign. I mean, did they win their first game in the this season? They actually did. So, I mean, you've got to give them some respect. But Zinchenko is back. The other player back in full training is Reece Nelson. That is another positive. And why Reece Nelson is such a very big positive is I think Gabriel Martinelli is going to be on the left a lot of the time this campaign, and Reece Nelson will be behind him. So there is a huge possibility that Leandro Trossard will then be running through the channels in those left half spaces where Kai Havertz is running. So we might have two players competing for that left number 8. Leandro Trossard, who for me is more like a support striker, a second striker, and Kai Havertz, who of course is a roam data and just loves the investigation of space. Now, in the other not so good news, CBS are reporting, and I just didn't want to do this story solo because it's hard for me to do. Julian Timber could be out for the season. That is according to James Pink from CBS. I'm not going to report on this one. I'm not going to comment on this one until we get the final details from the scans and from the experts like Arsenal and the website have said. The player will undergo further assessment. But early signs, according to CBS, James Pink, we might be looking at a player in Julian Timber who's going to be out for the season. That is going to be really bad. That's going to be a huge blow. And Mikel Arteta will feel it's a setback. It's a real setback. Like, you don't get so many of those on the market. There was Lisandro Martinez. There was Julian Timber. I'm not really good at looking at centre backs, but maybe Edmund Tapsoba as well. I'm not really sure if Edmund Tapsoba is really liked by Mikel Arteta, but I know that we've tracked him for some time. But anyway, let's see if he's gonna be coming back sooner or even later. But of course, on the positive news still, Gabriel Jesus is expected to come back in the next month. So keep your eye on Gabriel Jesus. He's working harder. He's working towards an early comeback, right? Earlier than expected. He had a knee surgery, and signs are saying he's actually doing very, very well. So keep your eye on that one. Manchester City have decided they will not sell Aymeric Laporte to Arsenal. They will sell him to Al Nassr. They have agreed a deal with Al Nassr. Personal terms are being discussed between Al Nassr and the player, and there is huge optimism. There is huge positivity that the player will be joining the Saudi Arabian League rather than Arsenal. It's a smart move from Manchester City because, one, I think Al Nassr will give them more money. Saudi Arabian clubs will give you more money than Arsenal are willing to offer. And two, still, we don't value Laporte as a starter at Arsenal. We value him as a player who would come in to provide cover for Gabriel and to provide cover for probably and potentially William Saliba. That is how I rate him. That is how we look at him. So Manchester City have just gone. We have a problem in Kevin De Bruyne. We have a problem in Declan Rice. Yes, they've lost Julian Timber, but of course Declan Rice will be covering on the left-hand side. We cannot create another problem by strengthening Arsenal, okay? Look, if they get less money than Arsenal are offering, I would say they are absolute jacks. But the truth is that Al Nassr will give them more money in terms of the player's fee. the transfer fee than we are actually going to offer. And I don't think Aymeric Laporte is a player that I would be really hard about joining Al Nassr. But also, I think for the player, he's looked at this deal and he's gone, I don't want to compete with Manchester City. That is number one. But also number two, at Arsenal, am I guaranteed to be a starter? I'm no longer the Aymeric Laporte, of 4-5 years ago when everyone thought I was the best centre-back, coming through. So going to Al Nassr just makes a lot of sense. And he's also getting older. That would actually mean that he goes, enjoys his money, and then, moves on. That means that Gabriel Magalhaes might not be going to Saudi Arabia. Of course, I'm not saying it is totally off. I'm saying that Laporte going to Saudi Arabia to Al Nassr. If Al Nassr were the club interested in Gabi Magalhaes, then we get to keep him. The problem is that Madrid are still lingering around. They're still throwing a couple of punches here and there. Arsenal trying to dodge them as we wait for the deadline date to close. But that one is still there as well. Some positive news. Arsenal are looking at 100 million, an estimated 100 million pounds in terms of match day revenue, courtesy of the addition of the UEFA Champions League coverage. So that is going to be interesting. We are going to become a self-sustainable club running a self-sustainable model. If you don't understand what this actually means, this means that Arsenal can actually put up numbers in the market every single summer, courtesy of these numbers. Just imagine Arsenal making 100 million match day revenue, and probably, we get some more million from the Emirates for their sponsorship, more money from Adidas. Now we are back in the UCL. We're going to have more money. We're going to have more brand deals, better brand deals. And that means that when Arsenal decide to sign Osimhen, the money will be available. When Arsenal decide to sign Joao Felix, the money will actually be very, very much available. So that's a very, very positive one. But lastly, not on a very positive note, Michael Olise, Chelsea have triggered the release clause of Michael Olise. They're trying to agree personal terms with the player, and it hurts me that he's going to go there. They have Noni Madueke, Mikhailo Modric, Raheem Sterling, Christopher Nkunku will be back very soon. Nicolas Jackson as well, who can play in wide areas. I mean, however much he's a striker. I'm even going to put him in my FPL. I liked his energy. But Olise to Arsenal would have been a very great deal, in my opinion. He would have been a great striker for us. Not striker, but, winger for us. I think Saka is going to play a lot of minutes. Olise is going to be competing with Madueke, Sterling, and Modric. Do Chelsea need a right winger? They definitely do. Do they need a left winger? They definitely do. And Michael Olise could actually be that player. But in my opinion, if Arsenal had gotten Olise for 35 million to compete with Bukayo Saka, to provide that kind of rotation option with Bukayo Saka, especially in the 70th minute, 80th minute, he's good on free kicks. He's good on, so many things that actually profile as Riyad Mahrez. He's another player that you can profile as a Riyad Mahrez. I kind of feel like this one has hurt me. Chelsea taking him, it has actually hurt me. But let me know in the comment box below what you think about Michael Olise to Chelsea, and how much do you rate him over Kudus? For me, that Premier League experience, I would love. I would really, really love. But let me know. I'll speak to you right in the next one.